interesting. I'm convinced that your job is so critical in moving the economy, but also the environment forward. You're often kind of that final frontier and crossroads between environmental protection, but then also growth of communities. And you play a really critical role in stakeholder engagement and those who are being impacted by whatever project is in question. So I'm very curious to know what has been your experience in terms of that stakeholder engagement, and maybe that's evolved depending on where you are, but I'm very curious to know more about that.
That is a super interesting, always challenging, but good in a good way challenging. Like where you're being challenged and you have to think about it kind of way. That's a super yeah, key part of the job, but also key to EA, like key to EA being done well and not just being sort of a rubber stamping or kind of steamrolling exercises. Like really understanding what's important to people. Like I mentioned before, the ultimate outcome of the EA process is you decide whether or not the impacts are acceptable. I think a key question is like, okay, well, acceptable to who? Because not everybody will have that same level of acceptability.
Mm-hmm.
So really sitting down with people, understanding what's important to them and the details of it. Why is it important? Where is it important on the land? How is it important? Really can help sort of develop ways to mitigate the effects. So, and it's been really interesting. I think everybody will initially, most of the time anyway, everyone will initially come into the room a little bit like positional. They know exactly what they want to get out of the meeting. They think they know what the solutions are. And it's super interesting to sort of get in a room with everyone. And a lot of times, more often than not, I'd say people have the same end goal. And it's just sort of understanding how you can all get on the same page and what those commonalities are and what the differences are and how you can address those. So I'd say like generally it's a way more collaborative process than I think a lot of people might think. It depends on the project, depends a lot on the project proponent, like whoever the developer is. Depends on who you're engaging with, it depends on a lot of pieces, but most of the time it can be pretty collaborative and constructive.